Hey guys, my name is Michaela and I love to read books. It is now officially June, so it's time to talk about all the books that I read in the month of May and what I thought about them and what I gave them for a rating. So, May has actually been my best reading month so far this year. I read a total of 9 books, so I kind of gave myself this goal that I need to read 3 or more books a month, and I definitely surpassed that this month, and I am on track to achieve my reading goal for 50 books for the year. I'm thinking I might go over that based on how much I have been reading so far this year, but we'll see how it goes. This summer is going to be pretty busy for me. In terms of quantity, I did read a lot of books, but in terms of quality, I would say that this month's reads were just kind of average. Only one of them was kind of like a below average rating, but overall I would say the quantity was like average and above. So before I start talking about each of those books individually, I thought I would give you some statistics on what I've read. So this month I read 2 romance books in the form of paperback. I read 2 contemporary books that I listened to on audio. I read 3 dark romance books that I read on Kindle. I read 1 fantasy book, which was a paperback, and I read 1 mystery crime book, which was a paperback. In total, not including the audiobooks, obviously, I read 2,205 pages this month, and my average rating was 3.11 stars. So one thing about me is I'm very much a mood reader. So I enjoy books that go along with the seasons, or like if the weather's rainy, I enjoy a good thriller book. So of course, the first book of the month had to reflect that. And the first book I read was The Strawberry Patch Pancake House by Laurie Gilmore. This is book 4 of the Dream Harbor series. This series is very heavily holiday or season themed, I guess. The first 2 books were kind of fall themed. The third one was Christmas themed. And this one definitely made me think of spring. So I picked it up to read in the month of May. This story is about a man named Archer who is a professional chef, and he moves to the small town of Dream Harbor after he finds out that he has a daughter that he was never told about. So he moves to this little small town to kind of get to know her better and see what her life is like. But because he is a professional chef, his hours are pretty long and he gets home late at night most of the time. So he realizes that he needs to hire a nanny, and because his hours are so crazy and weird, he wants a live-in nanny. And that is where Iris comes in. We meet her in the first books in this series. She's super sweet, and she takes the job of becoming his live-in nanny. So, yes, this book was my favorite of the entire series. I ended up giving it 3.5 stars. I will always read a single daddy trope, and the live-in nanny just made this one better. All of the books in this series have been really cute, comfy, cozy reads, and they are pretty quick. I think this one is only like less than 400 pages. This one didn't even feel like a 400-page read because it was so quick and adorable. Then I tried my hand at listening to an audiobook. I have never really been the type to listen to audiobooks just because I really like to feel the book in my hand and be able to hold something while I'm reading. So I actually listened to this audiobook while I was working during the week because I figured, hey, I am allowed to listen to music. Why not listen to a book while I'm at work? So I ended up listening to After You by Jojo Moyes. This is book 2 in her Me Before You series. This is a contemporary kind of romance series. I was really not expecting to like this one as much as I did. I really fell in love with the main character, Louisa Clark, or as she goes by Lou, and I just thought she was so sweet and adorable and very relatable at the same time. And the second book follows her adventures and activities after her temporary 6-month job in the first book. I don't want to give any more details than that because I don't want to give anything away, but I thought this had a great representation of like grief and depression, and it was just very relatable for me, so I ended up giving this one 4 stars. And also, I will mention that the audiobook narrator was amazing. Like, she voiced the entire book, but she was able to switch between accents so well, and I would never be able to do that. It couldn't be me. So after that, I moved on to the Order of the Unseen series by Molly Doyle. This is a dark, why choose romance. So if you are interested in reading this, please check your trigger warnings beforehand. This series has a total of 4 books in it, 2 of which are novellas and 2 of which are actual books. So I read the first novella last month, and then this month I read Bloodshed, which is the first book, and then I read Melt for Us, which is the Christmas novella in between the first and second book. Now, this is not a series that has a lot of plot. This is very light plot, very heavy smut. So if that's not something you're interested in, I would not recommend that for you. I ended up giving both of these books 3 stars. They were good and the smut was well written. There just wasn't anything extravagant about this series for me. Then I moved on to my second spring-themed book, which is called Spring Fling by Annie England Noblin. This is about Miley and Ben, who were best friends when they were younger, and after graduation, Ben ended up moving away. And they both had feelings for each other before they moved away, but they both knew he was going to be leaving, so they never acted upon that. Years later, he comes back into town to sell his family home, and they kind of reconnect. It was very cute. Small town. She owns a bait and tackle shop in the small town. Very cute, very funny, definitely a good spring themed read. I ended up giving this one 3 stars. Then I switched back into dark romance and I read the second book in the Order of the Unseen series, which is Bloodbath by Molly Doyle. Like I said before, this is very heavy on the smut, very light on the plot. There is an underlying kind of mystery in the book that I'm interested to kind of learn more about in the next book. I'm not sure when it's coming out, but I know that there are more books that will be coming out in the series. So I am excited for that. I gave this one 3 stars as well as the other books in the series. Then I continued on with my second audiobook, which is the last book in the Me Before You series by Jojo Moyes, which is called Still Me. I think this was a very nice ending to Louisa's story. She kind of got her happily ever after, and it was really nice to see her process through her grief and come out stronger on the other end. So I really like this series as a whole. I think I gave all 3 books in this series 4 stars. So then I moved on to my largest read of the month, which is Born of Blood and Ash by Jennifer L. Armentrout. This is book 4 in her Flesh and Fire series. And she also has another series, which is the Blood and Ash series. And when I read both of these series, I did a tandem read. So that means that I read a couple books from the Blood and Ash, and then I read a couple from the Flesh and Fire. And I read them according to a guide that I had found online. This book is 735 pages. She is a thick one, and it took me quite a while to read this, but I am so glad that I did. This book wrapped up the end of the Flesh and Fire series so nicely. It kind of answered all my questions that I had, and I just love Seraphina and Nyktos. They are probably the perfect couple. They are one of my top tier romantasy couples, and I just love their banter and the way that they both would burn the entire world down for each other. I think that is one of the best things you can see in a romantasy book. So this series, the Flesh and Fire series, actually takes place before the Blood and Ash series. So if you are interested in reading this and you don't want to do the tandem read, I would suggest reading the Blood and Ash series first and then picking up this series. I know this is the prequel series, but there are a lot of spoilers in this one for the other series, and I think it would have a better impact if you read the other one first, if that makes sense. So if you are interested in this, read the Blood and Ash series first. Oh, and if it wasn't clear, I did give this 5 stars. This entire series, the Flesh and Fire series, has been 5 stars for me. I did not give the entire Blood and Ash series 5 stars. But like I said, I love this one so much more, and definitely a god tier book series for me. 5 stars. obviously. Then I ended off the month with a short little mystery book, which is Telling Lies by L.A. Dobbs. In this book, they find a dead body in the river, and you are getting the point of view from the police officers who go to investigate what happened. It is pretty early revealed in the book that it was a murder, and so you're kind of going through her friend group, trying to figure out what happened to her, who might have had any issues with her, and why they would want to kill her. So I was not expecting it to be who you find out that it is later in the book. I was kind of thinking it was someone else. There was also a whole other kind of mystery plot line going on in the book, which I'm sure is what's going to continue the rest of the books in the series. But I honestly just am not really interested to find out what happens. I felt like this book was written for a younger audience, and I'm just not really interested in continuing with the series. It wasn't a horrible book, but the main officer on the case is supposed to be like in his 60s, and reading like his thoughts and stuff, I just didn't get 60-year-old man from his inner thoughts and feelings and the way that he talked. So I ended up giving this book 2.5 stars. It wasn't horrible, I just didn't enjoy it myself, and it's just not for me. So I will not be continuing with the rest of the series. So those are the 9 books that I read in the month of May. I feel like this was a great month. I'm super excited to keep up with the momentum and continue reading as much as I can. And thank you for anyone who is watching this. Maybe I will see you in my next video. Bye!